but I really want it to go to a good home, so I'll be vetting like people properly, and you'll only actually be able to come here. I'm only going to consider people that are genuinely interested and that can show proof of funds beforehand. So I'm not going to be accepting any requests to come and view the van or anything like that until whoever is interested can provide proof of funds, so that I know that you're a genuine buyer.
On this channel, we like to take the piss out of Chris and Sarah. Sometimes it happens to be Sarah, sometimes it happens to be Chris, and sometimes it happens to be both of them. However, today, there's nothing to be taken the piss out of, because underneath all the piss taking just so happens to be a greater cause. And these idiots, and by idiots, I primarily mean Chris in this, have crossed that line. After the joviality, the piss taking, there is a line that you cannot cross, and Chris is so far beyond that line, it's untrue. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the no longer with them van. That's right. What happened, Chris? Tell us, tell everyone, tell the group. You sold your van, right? We all know it because you told us. I'm going to put my van up for sale, you said. I want a cash buyer, you said. I want to see proof of funds, you said. Why did you want proof of funds? Why did it all have to be, all cagey and everything like that? Is it possibly because you knew full well that you were selling this person, poor soul, whoever it may have been, an absolute death trap? And I don't say that lightly, because I'm not one of these people, so many of them out there, that say that van's a death trap, should not be driving around Europe with all those kids and everything. I haven't jumped on that bandwagon because, quite frankly, it's been done to death. Ironic use of words there, I know. But on this occasion, when evidence comes to me, I can't ignore it, because it is bloody outrageously stupid. Isn't it, Chris? What are you? Bloody outrageously stupid, right? Repeat after me. Bloody outrageously stupid. Yeah? Okay, now we're on the same page here a little bit. So you sold this poor sucker. Shall we call them a sucker? Yeah, why not? I mean, they obviously took your word for it that they were getting this fine vehicle that had appeared in so many TV shows, and it'd been all over Europe with the famous Inghams family sat in it. But what you didn't mention to them was that it was, in fact, on its last legs. And it's even worse than that, isn't it? So what happened was they took it for its very first MOT. They'd only just bought it, Took it for its MOT. I mean, it's on the face of it, it is quite funny. But when you look a little bit deeper into it, it's not funny at all. It failed. Why doesn't that surprise us? I mean, you buy a car. I mean, this is a thing, right? I guess you buy a car, you buy a van or a vehicle or anything like that. There's always a chance it's going to fail because you don't know what's wrong with it, right? So this guy blindly accepted that Maybe Chris said, it might have one or two things that you might need to do for it. I'll give it at a knockdown price, But then it comes to the things that it failed on, and this actually shocked me to my very, very core, right? And I don't say that lightly. So shall we take a look at the legend that is the DPD van of dreams? So the top section is important. Do not drive until repaired. Dangerous defects. That means what it says on the tin. Do not drive until it's repaired. You cannot drive it until it's repaired. electrical wiring likely to touch hot or rotating parts, unsafe modifications in engine bay. Right, so what does that mean, Chris? Wanna hazard a guess? It means, first up, we'll take the note that it says unsafe modifications. Modifications being the important part, meaning something that has been modified that wasn't on the original van. And who did that, Chris? I think that might have been you, mightn't it? And the bit that precedes it, it says unsafe. The bit that you did, the modifications, is unsafe. And it's to do with the electrical wiring. I'm just thinking, hear me out here a little bit, right? I'm just thinking that if you and your brood were travelling somewhere and that little wire that is saying that it's unsafe and it touches the hot, the thing there, and it touches there and right? You see what I'm saying, Chris? Do you understand a little word that I'm saying? Right, this is just the tip of the iceberg, obviously. That's the most important part. Because remember, it says do not drive until repaired. Which means that you should not have been driving it in the first place. I cannot stress that enough. Who, in their right mind, Christopher, would be driving his wife, pregnant wife, and 5 children around the Arctic in a van which the MOT centre say shouldn't have been driving in the first place? Do you actually understand? And if you don't understand, and I don't believe I'm about to say this, let's hand it to Sarah, shall we? Sarah, do you understand why this is an issue? Do you even care? I'm asking this seriously now because I'm genuinely baffled. Sarah, are you really that thick? Sorry, I'll retract that. I won't call you thick. Just think about it. You've got 5 children, young children, in the car, in the van, and that van should not be on the road, right? And where do you drive? Where do you go when it shouldn't be on the road? Is to some of the most dangerous roads in Europe, by your own admission. So, do you not even ask Chris, is it safe? Is what he's doing, is it safe? Have you even had a conversation? Chris, do you know what you're doing? Oh, I trust you, Chris. Yeah, Chris, it's fine, Chris. I cannot believe that you would actually blindly trust what he has done to that van when the MOT centre say it's unsafe. Honestly, don't believe me? Fine. Believe the experts. That's all you need to know. That van should not have been on the road. It was unsafe, and yet you allowed your kids to be driven around in it around the Arctic. Unbelievable. Now, ironically, this section is usually the worst part of the MOT if you failed anything, right? You don't usually get dangerous defects. This one is usually the worst. Major defects. Vehicle structure modified such that structural rigidity is significantly reduced. Several holes being cut out under vehicle within 30 centimetres of a mounting from the chassis floor. Right, holes in the floor. I wonder who did that. The point here again is modified. That means modified from its original state, right? So again, Chris, it's you, obviously the only person that's ever gone to drill holes in the floor, cut holes in the floor. It's insane. But you did it. And, yeah. What it's saying here, over and over again, is that you, Chris, the moron of YouTube, no, the moron of the Northeast, you have modified the vehicle beyond recognition and have rendered it unsafe for driving. And yet you have been driving it, haven't you? So there's that. And then we move on to, obviously, the poor sucker who bought the thing off you, right? I have no idea why they decided to buy it, because on the basis that Chris Inghams said it was safe, and Chris Inghams said it was a catch, and it's been on so many adventures, so it must be legitimate. Yeah. So you basically sold him. You wanted to get rid of the thing. You said that you were going to get it serviced and everything. If indeed you did take it in for servicing, they would have noticed that there were holes in the floor. So I'm not sure that actually happened. Just between you and I, Chris, I'm not too sure. But you claim that you're not going to use it for the next year. Well, you also know that if you were taking it in for an MOT, it would not pass the MOT, clearly. And it would cost you an absolute fortune to fix, because they're not letting you drive out of that garage with it saying, must not drive, right? So you'd have to spend a fortune to get it fixed again. Plus also explain to the mechanics who are probably in stitches why on earth you have cut holes in the floor and tampered with the electrics so as to try to blow your kids up, right? But you can't explain that. You can't say to them, oh, you know what, we've had such a great time travelling around Europe because travelling's our passion, you know? But then the guy comes in, the buyer, you take him off to a secret location and sell him some dodgy goods. Wow. It gets better, doesn't it? And you send him on his merry way. And now he has no comeback because you sold him probably in cash because you needed the proof of funds. You probably had him pay you in a brown envelope as well, right? Some backhander down the back street. I know your sort, Chris. So he's left with this thing. He's paid, I don't know how much he paid because you didn't list it, but like 20 grand or whatever. You probably added extra because it's, you know, super duper modifications and everything, but those modifications rendered the thing scrap worthyable. And now he's got a van that he can't actually use ever unless he forks out a fortune to get it fixed, which obviously he has to now because it's in the garage and they're not going to let him move it until he's fixed it. So he's in a catch-22 situation, isn't he? If I was him, I'd be banging your door down demanding a refund. But then again, he doesn't have that comeback, I don't expect, because like, was any contracts exchanged? I'm actually lost. I mean, I don't have an awful lot of sympathy for the guy because, you know, obviously he bought it off the basis that you said it was good, and he's probably watched the vlogs. Maybe his wife is an iFam, maybe his kids are iFam. In fact, maybe his kids were gonna go around on their adventures like the Ingham family in a death trap. Yeah, absolutely. So that being said, Chris, what are you? moron. Driving your kids around in sub-zero temperatures around Europe, around the Arctic, on the most dangerous roads on the planet, in a van which is just not fit for purpose. One word for you: moron.